What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode number 34 of the Infinity Flux Letters page. I'm Matt.
I'm Andy.
And this is our bi-weekly live show where we just kind of chat with you guys and hang out. And, it's New Comic Book Day. We do these on New Comic Book Day so that we can talk to you guys on New Comic Book Day. It's the virtual equivalent of hanging out with your buddies at the comic book store.
If we were your buddies.
If we were your buddies, yeah. We're not saying that, we have to be your friends or anything like that. What's up, Pete? How you doing? James, how's it going? James sent me some more really cool pictures and a couple of videos of that Batman fan film he's working on.
Oh, nice.
So that thing is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that. What's up, Larry? How you doing? So yeah, glad to be back with you guys today on this newest of the new comic book days. We got a couple of comments that we're going to cover here in just a couple minutes. But before we get started, we want to start with the way we start every show with our picks of the week.
Ooh, I've got to dig into my bag of new weeks, my Santa bag of new weeks worth of stuff.
But I mean, we already read all this like 3 days ago. You don't already just automatically know?
Nope. I'm gonna say Night Fight. Number 1 is most likely my favorite. There was actually a lot of good stuff this week. Between that, Absolute Superman. Did you read that yet?
Not yet.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to before I came here, but I couldn't.
And Planet She-Hulk. Those 3 are kind of up in the air for my favorite ones.
Yeah, I think my pick of the week is also DCKO Night Fight, and probably followed right now by Planet She-Hulk and Amazing X-Men, number 2.
Amazing X-Men's up there for me too. Yeah. I got that.
But I have not yet read Absolute Superman, so that might leapfrog over one of those. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I need to read that before I can declare that for sure. You and Andy are more than welcome to the premiere next year.
Oh,
dude, I think that would be pretty sweet.
A Batman gray and blue carpet.
Oh, premiere. That would be oh my gosh, yeah, that would be so cool. What's up, Nurion? Yeah, so and while we're going through this, let us know what y'all's pick of the week is. I would love to hear about that. Wait, hold on, wait a second. I've already broken something. Let's see. Let's hide that and then go. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll just jump right into it because we don't have a whole lot of time. But we did have a couple of questions, comments that some folks left on the YouTube post.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to start making a post, scheduling it for Wednesday, like the Wednesday morning of a new video, and people can start asking questions on there. That way, we can get right into it. We don't have to wait for you to remember it or whatever. We can kind of, like a letters page, pull all the letters together. I may try to maybe like do it a week ahead of time or give it some time to collect.
Yeah.
And then we can answer all the questions because that's what we love doing here. We love answering people's questions. They always have great questions about comics or storylines or comic book stores, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I should mention too, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok up here. So hello to everybody on all those various. But there's literally 4 different screens right now with all kinds of different stuff going on. But let's flip over here, and our buddy Nurion, who just joined us, wants to know, with the success of the new history of the DC universe, do you think we should get more of these miniseries? And he went on to, these banners only have so much text space, but he did say after that, the history of Gotham City or Arkham Asylum or the Green Lantern Corps, something like that. I think it would be another great way to introduce new readers to more of the DCU. And I actually hadn't thought about that at all, but yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea. You have the new history of the DC universe, which sort of lays out the entire universe and gives you a very abridged timeline of everything. But if there was something like that for the history of the Green Lantern Corps or the history of the Justice League or like you said, Gotham City or Arkham Asylum or something like that, because especially with Gotham, because there's been so many stories over the years where they keep adding to the history of Gotham City. Like what's the one that Scott Snyder, one of his earliest ones, the
Gates of Gotham.
Gates of Gotham, yeah. So they keep doing stuff like that where they add more lore to Gotham. So something like that would be really cool. Is that way you could learn about the history of Gotham, all the stuff that happened, years or decades before Batman was even a thing, leading up to the shooting of Thomas and Martha Wayne, leading up and then leading into Batman and all that stuff. Like that would be really cool.
Yeah, you could do that, or like you said, Arkham Asylum, starting with like Amadeus Arkham, and then going all the way up to Asylum and Arkham Towers, and doing all of that. I think would be really cool. That could be incorporated into a, maybe if it's like a 4-issue. Issue 1's like, the founding of Gotham. The second one, like maybe one spotlight's just Arkham or the families of Gotham, because I do think as the stories have gone on and stuff like Gotham that's had so much happen in it with stuff like No Man's Land and everything. It's like, it would be really cool to be like, okay, this is the stuff current continuity is, acknowledging. But I even think stuff like do new history of the New Gods, or just stuff that like maybe people aren't as familiar with. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, because I mean, you could do it for characters and places and concepts. Like you could have one about the history of the Flash, and you could talk about Jay Garrick, and I don't know if they ever retconned it to where he wasn't the first one, but like Jay Garrick, and then passed the mantle on to Barry Allen, and then it wasn't a mantle passing, but it was a multiverse thing. But you know what I mean, like
and Max Mercury,
Max Mercury. So you could work all that kind of stuff in. Maybe Superman probably wouldn't have quite as much. I don't know. I mean, you could Superman through the years of. And
it would be. I feel like it needs to be done because they would do a mini series of like, the Superman through the ages or whatever. But the new history of, I feel like really does lend itself to groups or places, kind of big ideas that would need, that kind of explanation. That's why I do think Green Lantern Corps would be good. Yeah. Because from their creation up through, them all dying, and then Kyle being the last one, do like a little counter at the top, like how many current Green Lantern Corps members there are.
And I guess if what I was talking about for Flash and stuff, I guess you you wouldn't really maybe want to do that for a bunch, because like a bunch of the big characters already have like these like anthology books, like 80 years of Superman and stuff. So you don't really need stuff, but for like, Gotham and Arkham and Ordinarion says here, I'd love if there's here's who's currently in Arkham and how they got there. That would be pretty cool too.
That just feels like a fun like who's who book.
I was gonna say that's like a who's who book, but it's not a who's who of everybody. It's just a who's who of Batman's rogues and how many times they've been in Gotham or in Arkham. And I mean that would be really cool. So
the Jokers would be like lost count at whatever.
Right. So DC, I know you're watching. Go ahead and make these books. I think the Gotham one would be really
because
cool.
You also get into like Court of Owls. You get into some of the like hidden bits. Have it like where the new history of DC Universe is Barry. Have like Commissioner Gordon or somebody, or even Batman, or maybe Damian or someone who's like, hey, we really need to. I feel like that's a thing maybe Tim would do.
I was gonna say Tim. He's
be like
investigator.
Hey, all this stuff is happening in Gotham. Batman, do you have it'd be like, Batman, do you have a like history of it? And he like points. He's like, in those like 97 volumes over there. And Tim's like, I think we need to digitize this and we need to make a definitive edition. And then it's Tim researching and getting all the information about Gotham.
And I think it's cool if you make a story out of it instead of being like one of those anthology books where it's just like 80 years of Arkham or whatever. Not like, make it a story, make it something special. Pete, happy new comic book day. Thanks for hanging out with us. So Nurion, that is an awesome idea, something I had never considered, but I would love to see it. Give me an Arkham one, give me a Gotham one, give me a Green Lantern Corps, like you said, New Gods, because there's a lot of lore there. And I think that, what about like Legion? Like, would Legion be a good one?
No one would buy it except for like hardcore Legion fans.
Except for like the extra big nerds. I'd buy it.
I do think there is a place for something like that. And with so many new readers coming into comics that would love to have a like, oh man, I love all these characters and I would love to see how they all, how are they associated? When did Joker first show up in Gotham?
Yeah.
And, have like, Batman at this point, there was like the purple glove version, and you kind of get a little bit of like how Batman changed with Gotham.
And keep those books evergreen too. Make them always available in print. That way you can, readers can always get them. Retailers can always keep them on their shelves. Like in that way, because we get people coming in all the time. Hey, I want to start reading so and so, and you could point to this. Well, here, this gives you a history of this or that. So.
Yeah, I'm sure if you sat and really thought for a while, you could come up with 3 or 4 really strong history of books.
Yeah.
And Marvel should do that too. I feel like we need a 97 volume history of the X-Men or the X-Mansion or something.
Yeah. Golly, Marvel is a little bit harder because they have they're in the real world, right? So there's not as much. I mean, I guess you have things like Adelan, or you have, Nowhere out in space. That's actually Nowhere is like I always wanted to know like who killed that Celestial.
Yeah,
and maybe that's been a story that's been told, but I don't know that. So like, who killed that Celestial to and now his head's floating around in space, and they made a city out of it.
Or I was thinking like for DC or Marvel have like. The history of like big fights or like events or something like that maybe summarize them a little bit. Like, the new History DC Universe did that, but I would love like take one of them and break it down or within the timeline of something.
Yeah.
Times that heroes fought their doppelgangers or something.
Or one that you can make a huge book out of is, for Marvel, like all the different times that the history of heroes fighting heroes.
Yeah.
And you'd have Civil War, and you'd have Civil War 2 and Secret Invasion kind of, but Secret Empire and Avengers versus X-Men and X-Men versus Inhuman. There's too much.
It could go on and on.
He could go on and on. So yes, excellent idea. I would love to see
it's approved. We just got word. It's approved.
Look at that on Twitter just now. Scott Snyder said he's going to write a 5-issue History of Arkham series. That's awesome. All right, so the other one is Captain Millennium here. If the new Ultimate Universe wasn't ending, what character or characters would you love to see appear and or get a spotlight? And then he goes on to say this could apply to ones who've already appeared or those who haven't shown up yet. If this question had been, we've had this question before, but if this exact one had come in a few months ago, I would have automatically gone to Daredevil.
Yeah,
it's like ever since we saw Matt Murdock in Ultimate Spider-Man #1, I'm like, oh, I was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I was like, and it's like, I wonder if he's going to be Daredevil. So I would have automatically said that. But now that we know we're getting an Ultimate Daredevil, and he's going to be like a cosmic hero, we'll see how that works out. I guess I got to pick somebody else, or you said, this could apply to ones who've already appeared. Like I would love for. I hate that they're introducing Ultimate Daredevil like 2 months before the whole Ultimate Universe is allegedly ending. We'll see. I still don't know if I believe that, but I don't know. I don't know. Do you have one?
I like a lot of the characters that have been pulled into the Ultimates, like this version of She-Hulk. I think it's really cool. And I wouldn't mind seeing a spotlight more on She-Hulk, or give us, Ultimate versions of, a new Ultimate Ghost Rider.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome.
What does this version of Ultimate Ghost Rider look like? I think there's a lot of really cool things you could do. And here's the thing, like, even if this Ultimate Universe is ending, they can just make another Ultimate Universe in a couple of years, and we get a whole new idea behind what the fabric of it and what created it. And, it's funny because we're like, oh, it's the Ultimate Universe. It's like Marvel has a lot of universes that are just still going on that involve. It's just Ultimate Universe is kind of a spotlight on one that's a reimagining.
They just picked this universe to slap the Ultimate name on, but there's a whole bunch. Look at the Spider-Verse books. We have Spider-Man from Earth 782491 Alpha B, green or something like that.
Well, in this Ultimate Universe, Hobby was he's Spider-Man, and it's Punk, and it's all this. It's like, it's Ultimate is just like, it's just a word.
Yeah, it's just a word to put a spotlight on one specific universe, even though there's a ton of them out there. This is interesting. I want to see more of Ultimate Hydra. Do you mean the Hand? Their take on Punisher. Oh no, wait. Ultimate Hydra. Did we see them?
I'm not sure.
Or is that? Oh, that's like the yeah, that's the who Captain America was fighting.
Oh yeah.
And the Red Skull ended up being the other character.
Yeah.
Because when I read that, I read that as the Hand. It's the ultimate version of the Hand, which is who Nick Fury is leading.
Which
and
I'd really hope we get some
them.
explanation on like why their faces are like that.
Yeah.
Are they robots? Are they people? What are they?
Yeah. Black Widow. Larry says Black Widow, even though she has been in Ultimate Wolverine. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So we can start with her as a villain and makes a turn to hero. I would like to, speaking of Ultimate Wolverine, I would like the story of how Cyclops' head wound up in the belly of that one Sentinel.
Yeah,
give me that story.
There's a lot of X-Men that I wouldn't mind getting an Ultimate version of.
Yeah.
Like I really wish we had gotten this version of Ultimate Wolverine and some other, Ultimate Storm that's in Black Panther, like come together and create a new, call it Ultimate X Factor, Ultimate Children of the Atom or something, and give us a team of these characters. I'm sad that we're maybe not going to get that, because I do really like this version of Ultimate Wolverine.
Yeah, same. And, as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, like, I don't know why, but Thor popped into my head. And I was like, wait a minute, we already have Ultimate Thor. But then it made me realize we have barely seen Thor in this universe. And I really like his design. And I like the idea behind it. Like, weren't he and Sif supposed to be going off and doing, like, didn't they tease some kind of big thing with Thor and Sif? And then that never really came to pass.
And the World Tree.
Yeah. And there was that, like, big 2-page spread in one of the issues of the Ultimates. And I was like, ooh, that I bet they're going to make a whole mini series of just that.
Yeah.
And then they never did. And that may have been the last time we saw Ultimate Thor. And I think that was like at least 6 months ago, if not more. So where the heck is Thor?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Like, they need him as they're going to go up against the Maker here in the next couple months. Like, they need Thor and Sif back. Where the heck have they been?
Yeah. I mean, if they are truly ending the Ultimate Universe, it does feel like there is still so much left on the table that wasn't used. We do know that Denise Camp had more stories.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what he said, that he had more stories, but when he learned everyone else was ending theirs, he thought, well, maybe this is a good place. I can end mine as well. Which does stink, because it does feel like maybe he didn't know it was ending back when he was setting up a lot of those stories.
Yeah, still lots of head scratching going on. Bailey, what's going on? This is Andy.
Hi.
And then, Captain William, that maybe it was the Hand. I don't remember. Well, no, you're right. I mean, they had, because there was that issue of Ultimates where Captain America was like issue 2 or 3 or something, where Captain America was like catching up on his history.
Yeah.
And there was that one panel that showed the Punishers were like a Punisher, but it was like a red
It's
skull.
a red one.
It was like, but it was, so I don't know if it was I don't know, but so there, I think there's both. I think we do have Hydra and the Hand, but I do want to know more about the Hand and Nick Fury, like you said, why their faces blurred out and stuff like that. Dennis Camp is everywhere these days. I agree.
Yeah.
Ultimates introduce a new character almost every issue. You're right, and that's awesome. But at the same time, that's a double-edged sword, because like there's a new character every issue, which means we don't get to spend a lot of time with that character because the next issue is devoted to somebody else.
Yeah, like Danny Rand came into it for a second, and even characters that got a little bit of a spotlight, like Luke Cage, kind of here and then gone, and there's so much more story that can be told with some of them.
And knowing that allegedly they are, that's weird. So TikTok has like some AI thing, and it says new comic book day, discuss ultimate comic characters. It's like an AI chatbot kind of thing that I did not turn on. It's just there, and it's like, that's interesting. Okay. But this whole thing about the Ultimate Universe allegedly ending kind of changes my opinion of the Ultimate Universe, because before we knew it was ending, I was like, I can't wait to read about this. I can't wait to read about that, this and that, And then now that it's ending, I'm like, wait a second. You're like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you never followed through on.
Yeah.
And now you're just all these characters that we're not going to get to see. Basically, that means that Ultimate Spider-Man's entire story was just about, him going up against the Kingpin and training with Harry. Like, he never got anything outside of that. And so that, if it really does end, that's going to change my opinion probably a little bit negatively.
Yeah, we've talked about this, that it is kind of, if it does end there, we really didn't get that much Ultimate Spider-Man, and we didn't get a lot of Spider-Man not associated with the bigger story going on.
Yeah.
Like we got little hints, like literally panels or a one-page thing of him dealing with villains around the city. But I would have liked to have seen, like the original Ultimate Spider-Man did, arcs that don't involve the Maker or, you know, a lot of this stuff, like just going after. And I think the Craven one is maybe the closest we got to that. And that was kind of the peak that book was at. And I would have liked to have seen more story arcs just centered around a story of Spider-Man up against a villain.
Yeah, that'll definitely change my opinion of Ultimate Spider-Man, because when it first started, I was like, this is, you know, generational, as the young people say. Like, this is one of the most innovative and best Spider-Man stories ever, and it's a Spider-Man we've never quite gotten before, and each issue that went by with it, Spider-Man wasn't in, I was thinking, that's okay, you know, they're building a story, mm-hmm. Spider-Man will show up eventually. But now if it really does end in just 2 more issues and we never get anything again, that will really kind of sour my opinion of the whole series.
Because so much of it we were waiting for, we knew the Maker was going to come out of his dome, and we're like, and after that, I feel like it will flourish, and you know, this big story will have wrapped up, and now these characters can go on into their own adventures. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like, you get to the end, you're like, oh, that's okay. It was just that. And that does feel kind of sad. Again, we always say like the Ultimate Universe is ending allegedly and stuff, because it's very rare to take a comic character or a version of a character and put them back in the box and shove them in a closet and never see them again.
Yeah.
Like, you know, with these especially being more distinct, you know, original Ultimate Spider-Man, it's like, well, one, he did come back within Ultimate Spider-Man, mm-hmm. but also he was enough like Peter Parker now that to put him be like, Ultimate Spider-Man's back in a thing would be kind of like, yeah, it just looks like Spider-Man. But this version of Wolverine, people are going to want to see that character, whether it's a multiversal crossover or whatever. You're going to see these pulled back out and used, whether in a big crossover event or something. But, you know, once you let it out of the bag, you can't put it back in.
Yeah, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Yeah.
No.
And it makes me think about Absolute Black Panther too. And, you know,
Absolute or Ultimate?
Ultimate.
Okay.
Absolute Black Panther is a different thing. No, Ultimate Black Panther, you know, they were, for a while, I'm like, oh, they're really building up the story that Vibranium in this universe is much different. And it has a consciousness, and what's that going to mean? I can't wait to see where that goes. And I guess it's not going to go anywhere, because they've never really, I mean, I know Black Panther has been fighting I can't remember the name, but the consciousness of Vibranium, which is in like this big super powered body now. But like, where's that going to go? Like, if this whole thing is going to end in just a couple months, what was that even for? Yeah. What was the point of that? Winter Soldier Wolverine was a great concept. I agree with that. That one was really
design
clever.
Is great. Mm-hmm. The book is great. Like, the book is really good. You get a lot of Wolverine action in the Wolverine Ultimate Wolverine book. It's, you know, I think maybe one of the most consistent of all of the Ultimate books in just quality and, you know, bringing a little something fun every issue, bringing in this version of Ultimate Sabretooth. That's all been really cool. And it does feel like, man, this Wolverine is just getting going. Yeah. Like, he just broke out of his conditioning and now is ready to be the hero. And if that just means he's the hero in this one fight against the Maker, then it's like, okay, but he's got a lot of, like, I don't know, a backstory that maybe he wants to confront and all that we're not going to get.
Yeah. And, you know, this whole thing kind of reminds me of manga a little bit, because I talked to my son a while back when I think it was whenever the last chapter of the My Hero Academia manga came out, and he read it. He's like, that's it. You know, it's over. The manga, the anime was still going on. The manga's over. And I'm like, how do you feel about that? He's like, well, it was really good. And I asked him, I said, but doesn't it bother you that like manga ends and you'll never have another story with those characters? You'll never have another Attack on Titan story or this or that. And he's like, I don't know. He's just like, when it ends, and I just go read a new story. And I told him like, I can't imagine like, what if Batman ended? Like, okay, that's it for Batman. No more Batman stories. Like, I don't. And that's like the one of the big differences between like Western comics and manga is that, I've been reading all my life, and it's like my mind is conditioned to always expect another Batman story or another Ultimate book or something. And where his brain is conditioned like, I don't know, these things just end. And when they do, you just go to something else. It's not a big deal.
But I do feel like there is, there's a kind of, you go into it with a different mindset for a comic series. I almost see those as more of like story arcs, even though there's a lot of story arcs within them. It's a setup and an ending. But to be like Batman was set up, 80 years ago, and now it's is not, you go into manga knowing this is a finite story by a single creative team.
True.
The difference is Dragon Ball, which has, Akira Toriyama was the creator and did it. But, when we got to Super, he was no longer the artist of it. He was the writer, but you had another artist come on board. And now that Toriyama passed, it is going to continue. Like they said, it's going to continue. That is going to hand off to someone else taking on writing duties. So it is not without, comparison.
It's not quite apples and apples, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It may be like, it's like green apples to red apples. They're still apples, but there's differences. So you can't quite put them on the same playing field. I don't know. It just feels weird. And plus, like you said too, like with manga, mostly, you have a pretty good idea that it's going to end. Like One Piece is still going, but that going in, this is going to end one day.
Yeah.
But like with the Ultimate Universe, we didn't think it was going to end. So, and then it's like all of a sudden, hey, this thing that you spent the last 18 months of your life reading, it's ending. It's like, wait a minute, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't go in expecting that. So I went in expecting more stories with Spider-Man, more stories with Wolverine and all this stuff. And then now, I was expecting more with this whole vibranium thing with Black Panther. And now we're going to get none of that because all of a sudden, you never told me it was going to end when I first started it. If I knew that, I maybe wouldn't have read any of it until it was all done and then just read it all at once or something. But so that is a little bit strange.
Yeah. And it had weird things in it that was like 1 year in, 2 years in. And it feels like if you knew a definitive end, it's kind of a weird, maybe you would do a halfway point or something like that. But I don't know. I still enjoy the Ultimate Universe, and we have yet to see what is the next thing after it, because that is also a big block of books. Usually a publisher has roughly a number of books that they are publishing, and every company kind of has a thing like that. We see DC with the Absolute Universe, and they have these pockets that are something a little bit different, something that is either something new, something fresh for different readers who maybe don't want to read this, but they can read this. That's going to be a big hole in their market that we'll have to see what they fill that with. You're not just going to put, another mainstream Spider-Man book and another, because those are essentially readers that you're going to lose. Those readers, some of them are not reading, Amazing Spider-Man. They're only reading Ultimate Spider-Man. Marvel doesn't want to lose those readers.
Yeah, and probably the best example of that is Ultimate X-Men, which we don't really like all that much, but there are lots and lots of people who like Ultimate X-Men, and there is nothing else like that Marvel's doing. So you could make an argument that the people who are reading Ultimate Spider-Man, they'll just go read Amazing Spider-Man, or the people who are reading Ultimate Wolverine, they'll just go read regular Wolverine. But there's nothing like Ultimate X-Men. So I feel like the people, if there's anybody who's only reading Ultimate X-Men, they're not going to go to regular X-Men because it's so wildly different.
Yeah.
At least with Spider-Man and Wolverine, there's some similarities. But so it's like, where do they send those people?
And that it's its own thing, because if you're like, well, Peach Momoko is going to do another thing, maybe a Psylocke series or whatever. It's like, but the Ultimate Universe, you could consume it all, and you didn't have to worry about, oh, well, Psylocke now moved from uncanny to this, and that's going to reflect in her book. There's something about the Ultimate version, whether you like that version or not, that did feel like I'm not missing anything.
Yeah,
like these are pretty self-contained, even though they're all kind of building towards a unified story. I can imagine a reader who is reading Ultimate X-Men being like, I don't want to go read something now that's in the main universe because it's too complicated, or it, it just doesn't have the feel that this did with these very unique characters.
Yeah. Well, while as we were thinking about this question, I kind of had the thought of maybe not necessarily what characters would I like to see, but I had this thought of like what type of new alternate universe would I like to see? Because the original Ultimate Universe, it was just another Earth, right?
Yeah.
And the characters were they're very similar. Ultimate Spider-Man, very similar to mainline Spider-Man, and a lot of them were very similar. And in this Ultimate Universe, yes, the Maker messed with the universe, and America doesn't exist. There's different territories instead, and you have the Maker's Council stuff. But at the same time, it is still you still have regular citizens walking around there. It is still just like a regular world, right? Like I was thinking, I love stories that are like superheroes in like a dystopian future or a post-apocalyptic future or something. I'd say if you're going to make another like Ultimate Universe or some kind of alternate universe line of books, make the universe wildly different. So if you guys ever read Dark Ages from Marvel that Tom Taylor wrote and Iban Coelho did the artwork for, it's like a 5 or 6 issue thing. This was from like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. But I love that. The story was that there was a Doctor Strange like let off a big EMP blast to defeat this big enemy, but that knocked out all of the power, the electricity in the whole world. And it's been that way for years, and the world is now this way, and the heroes have had to adjust and stuff. Like make the universe itself wildly different. Yeah. Make there be some big like post-apocalyptic thing that happened. Maybe the kind of like the Old Man Logan or something like that. Like, but make it, instead of just being like a quick little mini series of, the heroes lost and now the world is terrible, make that the whole universe and give me a post-apocalyptic Spider-Man book and post-apocalyptic X-Men and Hulk and Captain America. And what are they like now in this new world? And that might, that could radically alter the heroes. Mm-hmm. But because the world is different, that to me, that would be like a whole separate, that would feel very distinct from the mainline universe.
Yeah, I agree. Something that does change the universe, you don't want, because we've had stuff like Gotham by Gaslight. Mm-hmm. We've had stuff that are the universe is different, so the character is different, but nothing has been approached in a way of, okay, here's 5 books. They all exist within this by different creative teams, and knowing that like they are telling their own individual stories within this, not, Gotham by Gaslight right now is doing like a Justice League thing. Yeah. It's like not one just doing that, but like tell a Batman story, or for Spider-Man, tell a Spider-Man story, but within this world. Yeah. That's not,
that's not all connected and working towards a big climax.
Like, take a story like Spider-Man versus Kraven, but then put it in a post-apocalyptic world or a different, almost like a different arena. Okay, how does that change them, and how does that change their interactions? Yeah. And do it like that, where we have a story, a character within a universe, not one story we're trying to, get out there.
Yeah, and I know we've had like the noir books. Didn't we? We had Spider-Man noir, but wasn't there a Daredevil one, and X-Men and there was so we have sort of kind of had that, but they've all just been like little mini series with this same aesthetic. I'm talking about, Marvel likes to do their alternate universe books, so make a whole new universe that is that setting, and then put all the heroes in it. And if you like that setting, then there's a whole universe of books, and it's all ongoing. It's not just like these onesie-twosie little miniseries here and there.
Waterworld. They all exist on Waterworld.
I mean, it could be whatever,
Spider-Man, I don't know, like flips a dolphin and like has to ride it or something. I don't know. But I would like to see them take some big swings at something. And a little bit of this Ultimate Universe is that it's like, what if, the Maker had set up this cabal, and it did change, but it almost made it kind of weirder, because it was like Spider-Man swinging through the city and everybody's being fine. It's like, yeah, but does no one question like some of the big weirder stuff going on? Yeah. How does society exist when, there's all this other stuff going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Just, and we talked a little bit, like the Absolute Universe is kind of sort of like that. you know, it's a little bit darker. The heroes are on their back heel all the time. But even then, you still have like regular people living in the world, that kind of thing. Which, you know, sure, it's like made with dark side energy, and you know, the bad guys kind of secretly win all the time. But it's still just a more or less regular world. I'm talking about radically altering everything, and or like a good example would be if Dark Knights of Steel, were not just a 12-issue thing, but hey, there's a new line of DC books, you know, that that take place in this universe, and they're ongoing, and they're not all connected together. I mean, other than they exist in the same world, but they're not all building towards a climax of one story. It's just, oh, you get Batman Dark Knights of Steel, and it's whatever he's doing in that world. And you get Superman. And
what I think to do that successfully is that the publishers would have to make the commitment behind it for it not to feel like like an event or a cash grab or something like that. Like the Ultimate Universe feels like it was structured like, this is important. This is, you know, this is our B universe. We've got our A universe and our B universe, not like this is, you know, we've got our main stuff, and then we've got this little like couple of things going on over here, and it never really matters in the stories. You know, you have to put, I think that means heavy hitting talent behind the books, the kind of marketing and the accessibility and everything that comes from an absolute or an ultimate universe.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's just, you know, and I don't know that would be feasible to do. But as I was thinking about what character would I like to see in the Ultimate Universe, my mind started going to, what would I like an alternate? What would I like the Ultimate Universe to be? You know, how different would I like it to be? And I think I've been thinking about a little bit about this as we've been reading the Age of Revelation books, and you know, like Age of X-Men's really good, and Radioactive Spider-Man was kind of fun. So it's like, what would it be like if this were just like an ongoing thing in its own line of books? Maybe it's its own universe, but in this universe, you always get Spider-Man with the little arm sticking out of the side. So I don't know. I just started thinking about, you know, how can you do a, you know, if you know, we had the first Ultimate Universe and it ended, we have this universe, it allegedly is going to end, and then how could you do a third Ultimate Universe but make it different enough, separate it from the other two instead of just feeling like it was just sort of the same thing over again? I don't know, but
I'm with all of that. I am very interested to see what is next, if something new is next, because like I said, definitely Marvel does not want to lose that corner of the pie, that slice that is this unique thing, especially with the Absolute Universe being so strong. That is also kind of why it feels weird, is people are really excited about Absolute and Ultimate. To suddenly pull that away and let your competition basically have that corner is weird. So I don't think I think there's more than it just, we reached the last end of Ultimate Endgame and it just ends. I think there is going to be and then something after that.
Well, and then there's also, if I can find it real quick. So there's also, let me get up here real quick. Come on. There is also, let me hide that one. There's also this, you know, Marvel announcing this Armageddon story, the origin of the end. Armageddon assembles June 2026. It does feel like this might have something to do with where the Ultimate Universe go, or at least have some connective tissue with the Ultimate Universe. Like, this character is holding a what looks like one of those origin boxes, probably the one that Miles brought back from. So, you know, I feel like this might have something to do with it. So what is this all leading to? I have no idea. But, you know, I mean, anyway, you know, I've seen everybody online assuming this is going to be like a big reboot of the entire Marvel Universe. I think that's wildly, I think it's ridiculous pretty much. Marvel doesn't reboot stuff like DC does, and DC doesn't even do it as much as most people think they do. But
I do like that the word origin is highlighted. That usually when they do something like that, like,
there's a reason.
There's a reason, and you call it Armageddon, which would be an ending, but an origin, is there going to be something fresh coming out of this? The idea is like, okay, is it going to be we get a bunch of new characters that got new powers? But that's not unique. That happens all the time. Like, we literally got a whole bucket load of characters with these new sidekicks that all the heroes got. Like, that was so for Marvel, just be like, there's new characters with new powers is not really something that'll move the dial.
That's not exciting to me.
That's not exciting. So I'm wondering, what if, is this, they create a new Ultimate Universe using some of the pieces that were there, like this Ultimate Wolverine and all of that.
Bloodlines 2025.
Yep.
It does. I mean, it does have something to do with, the Avengers logo is over there in the corner, and it does say something about. I mean, there's nothing about. We don't know anything about this, and rightly so. I mean, it doesn't happen until June, so we're a long way away. But Chip Zdarsky's involved. It'll impact the entire Marvel universe, changing the face of Earth's mightiest heroes in a way not seen since Avengers Disassembled. But that didn't really change anything.
Really change a whole lot.
It broke up the Avengers for a little while and made way for Civil War and all.
Yeah.
And so I mean that Disassembled had lasting effects throughout the Marvel universe for several years, which was really cool. But yeah, groundwork will be laid in upcoming storylines in Zdarsky's Captain America and developments in Ultimate Incursion number 5. So, we're going to keep our eye on the Miles Morales book to see if there's anything in there. But so far, there hasn't been, I don't think.
There's just been that one page I sent you that was just like, Miles basically just looked over and was like, yep, that box is still down there.
Yeah.
But it had no impact on the story or anything.
Yeah, so I do think if there's any kind of something coming for the Ultimate Universe after it ends, it'll have something to do with this. But
my kind of guess right now is that maybe they try to save it somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if they lose to the Maker? And then they go, well, we've got these characters. Can we... What if, somehow they get something like that missing moment or whatever. And they're like, we can, maybe it said you have to destroy a universe to create a new one. What if that's this Ultimate Universe they have to destroy to create a new, more habitable universe for our Ultimate characters?
That's interesting because, I feel like, and I talked about it on Monday, like the Avengers series right now is like, it feels pretty epic and nobody's talking about it. They have this, Kang has this power to create a whole new universe, but he has to destroy one first. And that makes me think, I thought, I was like, wait, is Marvel going to like stealth reboot everything and like secretly in the pages of Avengers, which I feel like not a lot of people are reading. They're just like, there's this, I don't know, but I mean, that could be something that would be really cool. It's like, hey, actually, we lost the Ultimate Endgame. We lost, and so we're just going to destroy this universe and start over. And maybe it involves, I don't know,
it involves the creation of one that is, maybe created from Captain America. Maybe Captain America says, like, I know how this should be.
That's very the opposite of the Absolute Universe. Like, it was the dark side energy. Now this is like super hopeful.
Captain America energy.
Yeah. So yeah, and you could think yourself in circles trying to figure all this out. That's why I don't like the theory craft when it comes to movies and stuff like this,
especially stuff that we know we're going to get the answer for. Within a decent amount of time. What's the next big thing where we'll probably get announcements? All the cons are pretty much over for the year.
Maybe like, isn't Comics Pro like in January?
Yeah,
or something like that.
We'll get something, I think, behind the scenes of a lot of comic stuff. When you're going into like a Christmas holiday and all of that, a lot of publishers kind of hibernate. Because it's a time where people are not really looking, for comic news. They're not doing all that. That's why big stuff comes out like in summer and all that. So you probably will not get any big announcements or big like reveals probably until the beginning of next year. So I think, maybe January we'll hear the details about this, but I think it's going to be relatively quiet until then.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, everybody online is speculating this is a reboot, and they're already, I hope that when they reboot, it's not this and it's not that. And I keep thinking, guys, we don't even know that that's what this is. You just need to like pretend, like put this out of your mind. Don't even think about it because it's so far in the future. Larry says, I read 26 issues of Avengers, but felt the story was not going anywhere. I kind of felt that way too, but it's picked back up a little bit. That's why I've been,
it kind of picks back up with that missing moment type thing when you were like, oh, we're getting back to that 2 or 3 years later. Okay, well now it's got something to say.
But then when they said, actually, the Avengers were supposed to go through all these tribulation events, and Kang just skipped ahead, and now they're not going to do them. I'm like, what the heck? You know, I was excited to find out what the cannibal curse was, or the cannibal cure, or whatever it was, and whatever. And so I feel like Jed McKay had plans for all those, and something changed. And they're like, hey, you need to hurry up and just finish this. So, and he's like, all right, well, we'll just say that Kang skip line and yeah. All right, guys. Well, we have got to head out and close up the store. But guys, we appreciate you spending your new comic book day evening with us. We just posted our top 10 comics to pre-order and a Flash video, so go check that out. There's some really cool stuff on that. We'll be back on Friday with our Comics from the Future video, because we've got Absolute Batman number 15 on there. We've got some DCKO tie-ins, some new indie number ones and things like that. So Friday's going to be a really cool show. Next week, I looked ahead. Next week is huge as well. So next Monday's video is going to be huge. So just stay tuned for all those videos. What about FNAF in back? Oh yeah, I don't know, man. All those crossovers are crazy. But appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're going to have a bunch more videos over the next few days, so be on the lookout for that. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Bye. Bye-bye.